What's going on, everybody? Mike here with iSMELL, and yes, we are back at it with another review. With summer officially here, at least in Texas, it's already starting to get really hot. It felt only right and seemed only appropriate to come to y'all today with some of my favorite summer offerings. What I have for y'all today are 10 fragrances. Every single one of these are gonna rock perfectly for summer. These are the fragrances that I do anticipate to reach for the most for summer 2024. Having said that, we have quite a few fragrances to talk about today. I'm not here to waste too much of y'all's time. Let's go ahead and get into it. So yeah, 10 fragrances, no honorable mentions. We're gonna get right into the nitty gritty. This first one here is going to appeal to the type of person that doesn't necessarily want a plethora of options for summer. They want one fragrance that they can reach for that's gonna hold them down. I do believe this one fits the bill perfectly. Fragrance number one comes from the house of Creed. The name of this one is MENS Cologne. So yeah, I do believe fragrance number one is going to be the most expensive out of everything in this list. But again, take into consideration that this one is going to appeal to the type of person that doesn't necessarily want 10 fragrances. They just want one fragrance for spring and summer. Me personally, that's how I used to be. I had one fragrance for spring and summer, one fragrance for fall and winter, and this one does fit the bill perfectly for that type of option. For those of y'all that are fans of the original, you're gonna like this one as well. In short, because this is not a full and in-depth review, MENS Cologne is a fresher and by proxy more mass appealing version of the original. It retains everything that we come to know and love about MENS, but they kind of tweaked a couple of the notes. The notable notes in MENS Cologne is going to include mandarin orange, ginger, pink pepper, pineapple, birch, as well as musk. So I won't be spraying this one on my skin as I have a different scent of the day, but I did bring some scent strips. Excellent atomizer, by the way. So yeah, they toned down the pineapple fruitiness as well as some of the smokiness, and they tweaked the DNA by adding citrus as well as ginger. This is an aromatic, zestier version of MENS, but the essence of MENS, of the OG, is retained. Me personally, I find the original MENS a little bit too heavy to wear in the summer, but this one works perfectly. It's one that I'm gonna rock a ton, and don't let the moniker of cologne fool you. This one has fairly decent performance. I get about 3 hours worth of longevity on my skin, and then I get 8, 9, 10 hours on my clothes. It all depends on how heavy you spray, but nonetheless, it is a fragrance that I'm gonna be reaching for a ton this summer. At the number one spot today from Creed, again, we have MENS Cologne. All right, so the second fragrance that I'm gonna be talking about today is one that I have been excited to talk about for some time. This one is one that was on my radar for at least a year, year and a half, and I'm happy to have it in my collection. I'm gonna be reaching for it a ton this summer. Fragrance number two comes from the house of Guerlain. The name of this one is Homme EDT. So I would not be surprised if y'all have not heard of this one, because this one came out in 2008, I believe, and it is now discontinued. A lot of people in this fragrance community play follow the leader. They feel compelled to not showcase fragrances that are now discontinued. Me personally, I don't share that same philosophy. I find the thrill of the hunt, and one of the joys about this hobby is finding fragrances that might be a little bit harder to find and acquire, that you know aren't going to smell like everything else that's on everybody else's shelf. So again, this is one that I would recommend. Do not get this one confused with the newly formulated EDP, because although they share many of the same notes, there is an inclusion of one note in this one that the newer 2016 bottle of the EDP does not have. The notable notes in Guerlain Homme EDT is going to include lime, mint, mojito, vetiver, rum, as well as geranium. Now, this is an excellent fragrance that does develop what you don't always get when it comes to some of the warmer weather offerings. I'll spray this one, let you know what I smell. And just for clarity, look at that green juice. Beautiful green juice, you guys. This one smells a little bit like a throwback, but it never goes too far in that direction. What you're gonna get is a mentholated mint and citrusy lime meets a sweet but also tangy mojito note with this underlining almost fougere vibe. A little bit smells like Barbasol shaving cream. So this is a fragrance that I would recommend for somebody in their 30s. And then you're gonna get just the slightest amount of booziness. It's just a touch of rum. I heard other reviewers say that this fragrance is extremely boozy to the point where they couldn't wear it to work. I don't think that's the case. I would absolutely wear this one to work, but nonetheless, it is one that I would recommend because it's an excellent summer offering that develops, that wears quite a bit different than a lot of other fragrances that you're gonna see on the market today. It has just enough of that tropical vibe and just enough of that old school maturity that you can rock it well into your 30s. At the number 1 spot, or at the number 2 spot today, from the house of Guerlain, we have Guerlain Homme EDT. All right, so moving right along to fragrance number 3. This one here is also a bit of a throwback, and I'll admit, although I absolutely despise the bottles, they feel very cheap. What I will say is if you are a fan of the fragrance Tommy Hilfiger from the 90s, this is one that you should 1000% at the very least get your nose on, you guys. This one comes from the niche house of Montal. The name of this one is Fougere Marine. So yeah, not the biggest fan of the bottles. The bottles feel so incredibly cheap, and I absolutely do not like this thing. I'm gonna take it off. But yeah, I was a little skeptical, you know, as people should. They should be a little bit skeptical of reviewers. Hell, be a little skeptical of me. I mean, no one's nose is 100% accurate, but I do own the original Tommy Hilfiger. Jeff from SoCal Sense actually sent me a bottle, and let me tell you, it smells like a stronger, more niche, powerful version of Tommy Hilfiger. Of that, it's undeniable. So the name of this fragrance is Fougere Marine, so you would anticipate it to be a hybrid of both of those types of scent profiles, which it absolutely is. Smells pretty much exactly like Tommy Hilfiger. So if you're a fan of that fragrance, you're gonna absolutely love this one. Notable notes on Montal's Fougere Marine is going to include seawater, lavender, geranium, patchouli, oak moss, as well as musk. So the interesting thing about Fougere Marine is it does not share many, if any, of the same notes as Tommy Hilfiger, yet they did a bang-up job of attempting to, I'm assuming they meant for it to smell like Tommy Hilfiger. That'd be a wild coincidence if that was not the case, because it absolutely does. I will tell you that I do get the seawater accord. I pick up quite a bit of lavender, and I have heard reports that people say they do pick up quite a bit of patchouli in this fragrance. Me personally, I do not, but I would not be surprised if that was the case, because patchouli is my wife's favorite fragrance note, and the first time I wore this one, she gave me a compliment almost immediately. So I presume it to only mean that she was smelling patchouli, because she tends to really love that fragrance note. Nonetheless, it is a fragrance that I'm going to be wearing a ton this summer, and although I absolutely despise the bottles, at the end of the day, like we all say, it's the juice that counts. So definitely one that I would recommend. At the number 3 spot from the house of Montal, we have Fougere Marine. All right, trucking right along, and I will say recording outdoors can be a bit of a distraction, but I really do enjoy it. I recorded this same video last weekend, but I did it at noon when the sun was directly overhead, and I'll show you a little bit of B-roll. It was an absolute nightmare. The sun drained my battery all the way down. The lighting was terrible, so I was like, you know what, I'm scrapping that video. I'm gonna come back to the park early in the morning. It's literally like 8:30 right now, so sun and heat should not be an issue. But yes, this is definitely a summer list because Texas is hot. All right, so moving right along, we're gonna talk about quite possibly one of my favorite citrus aromatics of all time. I did not feature it last year, and I did not wear it as much as I should have, because again, it is one of my favorite citrus aromatics of all time. I'm circling back this year, I'm featuring it, and I'm gonna be wearing it a ton. This one comes from the house of Dior. The name of this one is Eau Sauvage EDT. All right, so this one is quite possibly one of my favorite citrus aromatics of all time, and arguably one of the better formulated citrus aromatics ever created. Again, if you have not smelt this one and you are a fan of citrusy fragrances, again, if you're in your 30s to 40s, this is one that I deem to be an absolute essential. Notable notes on Eau Sauvage EDT is going to include lemon, bergamot, basil, rosemary, oak moss, as well as musk. Now, in terms of how this one smells, it's lemony citrus. And I named 6 notes, but there's about 30 notes in this fragrance, as most fragrances, I do believe in the 50s, did have. Man, this smells better than most of the citrus aromatics you're gonna see at Macy's. It's one that I would definitely recommend. So you're gonna get lemony citrus meets Barbasol shaving cream, chocked full of herbs, so it has green facets as well. And then it does give you that oak moss that people come to know and love and almost miss in fragrances today. It's definitely one that I would recommend without a doubt, and surprisingly good performance for an EDT. This is one that I do wear to work, and although I don't get tons of compliments, I personally like this one. It's classy, it's elegant, it's fun and lighthearted. It's like a day date, professional type of fragrance. One that I would absolutely recommend without a shadow of a doubt. It's the reason why I've featured it on the channel on multiple occasions. It's literally one of my favorites for summer. Again, at the number 4 spot today from the house of Dior, we have Eau Sauvage EDT. All right, so we're about at the 12-minute mark. If I've managed to keep your attention, maybe consider subscribing. I would certainly appreciate it. But moving on to this 5th fragrance, and the lighting changed a little bit. Yeah, so this one here, it's a fragrance that you're gonna see start to trend on everybody's channel around this time of year, and for very good reason. It's because it's an amazing fragrance. It's almost a goated fragrance at this point. Fragrance number 5 comes from the house of Hermes. The name of this one is Terre de Hermes Eau Givrée. And if the dent does not convey how much I love this fragrance, I don't know what to tell you guys. Absolutely love this fragrance. Such an easy wear. And this is another one. Eau Givrée is kind of like a Ventus cologne in the sense that you could literally just get this fragrance and you would be good for the summer. Now, it doesn't wear as versatile, quite as versatile as a Ventus cologne, but it's a great fragrance option nonetheless. I'm gonna spray this one a couple times. Excellent fragrance, you guys. Excellent fragrance. If I didn't already have a fragrance on, I would make this my scent of the day. So notable notes on Eau Givrée is going to include citron, timor, which is a pepper. You have juniper berries, woody notes, as well as mineral notes. So what I really love about this fragrance is it's a dichotomy of 2 different things. You have modern citrus aromatic meets classic French perfumery. That's the best way I know how to describe it. That citron, it smells like a modern citrus aromatic. It's a little bit on the dry side in terms of citrus, even sour might I add. And then you're going to get that classic French perfumery because without a doubt, it's undeniable. It's not even debatable. The Terre de Hermes DNA is in the base of this fragrance and is at the core of this fragrance, and I absolutely love Terre de Hermes. For those of y'all that didn't like the vetiver in the original, it's not in this one. You're not gonna pick up any vetiver in this one. It's just the essence of Terre de Hermes with modern citrus aromatic thrown into the mix, and excellent longevity for a citrus aromatic fragrance. Usually citrus notes are the first thing to kind of dissipate in the scent profile as you wear it, but the citrus notes do last a very long time. So shout out to Hermes. They created what's close to be a masterpiece at this point, and one that I'm going to be wearing a ton this summer. At the number 5 spot, again from the house of Hermes, we have Terre de Hermes Eau Givrée. Or if you're a basic bitch like me, you can say Terre de Hermes. All right, so the second half of this list, we're gonna kind of move in some of the more lighthearted, fun fragrances, a little bit more mass appealing in a sense. And if the lighting changed, I can't control the lighting, you guys. I'm outside. Either way, drop a like in the video. I would certainly appreciate it. This 6th fragrance here is a niche fragrance from an awesome designer, creative director. One of my favorite houses. I would encourage everybody to explore the world of Zaharoff. This is literally my favorite coconut fragrance of all time, and I haven't smelled everything, but this one up to this point has and is my favorite. Fragrance number 6, again, comes from the house of Zaharoff. The name of this one is Coco Loco. Beautiful bottle, might I add. So again, this one is my favorite tropical fragrance. It's my favorite coconut fragrance, to the point where I have a gigantic bottle of Le Beau Le Parfum, which is a highly coveted and sought after fragrance, and I never wear it because I have this one. Again, shout out to the Dent gang. Pretty nice dent in this fragrance, might I add. All right, so notable notes on Coco Loco is going to include coconut, pineapple, pear, cardamom, vanilla, and musk. So this fragrance at its core, at the heart of this fragrance, was meant to be a fun, easy to wear, lighthearted fragrance, and George did a bang up job. This is absolutely what the juice conveys when you wear it. For me, it's a feel-good fragrance. When it's gonna be sunny like this outside, beautiful weather, I'm wearing shorts and a t-shirt, on the go, just running around, washing the car, enjoying my day, this is the type of fragrance I'm gonna wear. It's an excellent fragrance and pretty good longevity, might I add. This ranks up there at the top of all of the Zaharoff offerings. This one does rank as one of my top fragrances from George. If you haven't smelt this one, I would absolutely recommend it. Even if you're spending about $150, I do believe the juice is worth the squeeze on this one. It's an excellent fragrance, one of my favorites in my collection, and it's a fragrance that will stand out in your collection on your shelf. Definitely one that you should check out this summer if you haven't already. At the number 6 spot, again, from the house of Zaharoff, we have Coco Loco. All right, so moving on to fragrance number 7. Again, this is a discontinued fragrance, but I've already shared with y'all that I do not have the philosophy that I will not and should not feature discontinued fragrances. For those of y'all that are in this hobby, I would encourage you to hunt down some of these discontinued fragrances. Take the chance, because you might actually be surprised and it might actually be one of your better pickups. And that's going to be the case with this one. Out of everything that I've featured thus far and will be featuring, this is the one that I have been wearing most often. It's a casual fragrance, extremely mass appealing designer, but nonetheless, it's one that I think has one of the best openings that I've ever smelt in recent memory, at least in the designer realm. This one comes from Yves Saint Laurent. The name of this one is Y.O. Fresh. An absolutely stunning bottle, you guys. That frosted glass, man. This does rank as the best presentation for any Y fragrance that I own. I have the Le Parfum, the EDP, as well as this one, and kind of touching on all of them. In terms of a scent profile, the most well-rounded, checks all the boxes, I would just get the EDP. In terms of the most mature, refined, with the best dry down, I would recommend Le Parfum. If you're a fan of wanting an opening that captivates you right out of the gate, this is the one I would absolutely recommend. I got the big boy bottle. My wife got it for me for Christmas actually. So notable notes on YSL Eau Fraiche is going to include lemon, ginger, pepper, peppermint, frankincense, as well as cedar. Now, I've found myself wearing this one to work quite often. No, not work, I meant the gym. This is one that I wear to the gym quite often, about 2 or 3 sprays. Yeah. Now, in the spirit of all transparency, because I do try to provide honest, authentic, and unbiased reviews and opinions, if you're a fan and it's an absolute must that you have beast mode longevity, do not get this one, because Eau Fraiche has absolute dog shit performance. But this opening is so incredibly good, you guys. And being that I'm a fan of both mint and ginger, it was a shoo-in for a type of scent profile that I was absolutely going to enjoy. So what you're gonna get in the opening is this lively, lemony, also extremely mass appealing, designery type of opening. Just captivates you. It's invigorating, but it's also cooling because it has that mint in there. And then at the base, at the core of the fragrance, there is some sweetness. It does have some sweetness in it because, again, this is a fragrance from the Y line. You get that Y DNA. It does take a second for it to reveal itself, but it is absolutely there. And then you're gonna get a generic, you know, amber, woody, warm, slightly spicy, but mostly Y DNA type of sweetness. And then that opening, it does reside. I get about 2 to 3 hours tops of longevity on this fragrance, but again, I just respray. I break all the rules, you guys. I'll throw this one in my car, although I do start to feel guilty once it's like 100 degrees in Texas. But yeah, I'll throw this one in my gym bag. I'll throw this one in my car. I'll respray, make a decant. You guys, at the end of the day, it's not that serious, but it is one that I would absolutely recommend. Again, at the number 7 spot from the house of Yves Saint Laurent, we have Eau Fraiche. And I do apologize for the changing in lighting. The sun is moving, the clouds are moving. Such is the case when you're out in nature, but as long as the audio is conveying well, I feel good. So we are going to be moving to the house of Dior with this next one, and it's quite possibly, and collectively in terms of timetable, it's one of my most worn summer fragrances because in my opinion, it has one of the highest utilities. If you don't want to get something like Creed Aventus and spend $250 to $400, you just want to spend like $120, but also have a fragrance, just one fragrance that you could wear all through summer and spring, this one's gonna check all of the boxes. This one comes from the house of Dior. The name of this one is Dior Homme Sport 2021. Again, I'm not recommending fragrances I don't wear. I have a hell of a dent in this one. I'll admit, I wasn't the biggest fan when I first smelt it, but many fragrances are meant to be worn on skin and not to be smelt on paper. They convey differently once they're on your skin. So this one here essentially is Dior Homme 2020 with the inclusion of extra citruses, but the woody aldehydes that is the essence of the newly designed Dior Homme is present in this one. It has an excellent utility, like I said, a fragrance that you could wear at work. That's when I wear this one, business casual to casual settings. You could dress it up, but I'd probably opt for a little bit higher end of a fragrance. What I will say, you guys, is very, very, very high likability factor. Whereas the last one, if you kind of weighed heavily on performance, if you weigh very heavily upon compliments, you guys, this one you are going to get a very good reaction. This is essentially, like I said, Dior Homme 2020. So if you want to avoid redundancy, you don't necessarily need it. But if you don't have Dior Homme 2020, I would opt for the 2021 because the inclusion of citruses just kind of give you more bang for your buck. Definitely a fragrance that I would recommend this summer. At the number 8 spot, again from the house of Dior, we have Dior Homme Sport 2021. All right, so we're at the 24 mark. I've kind of been rambling, but I like the way this video is progressing. I feel like I haven't had to stop. I haven't made many mistakes, so we're gonna keep it trucking along. This is definitely going better than the first time that I recorded this video. All right, so if you're a fan of Dior Homme Cologne, if you're a fan of Mercedes-Benz Cologne, on the higher end, on On the niche end, if you're a fan of Le Labo's Cedrat 37, you're absolutely going to enjoy this fragrance. And again, this type of scent profile is one that I deem to be an essential for summer because it's literally made for the summertime, and it's one of the few types of scent profiles that I can still overspray even in 100-degree weather. I believe that's something like 40 degrees Celsius for those of y'all across the pond, but I'm a dumb American, I don't know. This one comes from Adolfo Dominguez. The name of this one is Aqua Fresca Citrus Cedro. And again, not showcasing fragrances that I don't have a dent in. This is one that I've had in my collection for well over 3 years. Big shout out to Notes Punch. He was the first person and one of the only people that I do believe have an English review of this fragrance. And Dior Homme Cologne is kind of expensive. He was like, you can get this gigantic bottle for like 50 bucks. I don't know about that being the case, but I was very pleasantly surprised. And personally, I do like the presentation of this one more versus Dior Homme Cologne. Now, notable notes on Aqua Fresca Citrus Cedro is going to be pomelo, which is a type of citrus note, ginger, mint, seeing that trend, pink pepper, cedar, as well as musk. So, for those of y'all that have smelled Dior Homme Cologne, make no mistake about it, I would say it's about 95% Dior Homme Cologne. So, if you don't have that scent profile, you want something a little bit off the beaten path, something that you could kind of slightly flex on people, like this is Dior Homme Cologne, but just a little bit more exclusive, maybe consider checking this one out. The only difference is this one smells less synthetic, less sweet, and slightly more woody. But at the end of the day, this one is Dior Homme Cologne, right around the same amount of performance as well, but definitely one that you can overspray for summer and one that I am going to be wearing a ton. I mean, just check out the dent. I wear this one. This is one of my most utilized type of DNAs. I have several fragrances in my collection that smell like Dior Homme Cologne, but I reach for this one the most, to be honest. So definitely one that I would recommend you check out this summer. At the number 9 spot, again from the house of Adolfo Dominguez, we have Aqua Fresca Citrus Cedro. All right, so last but not least, and if you are still watching, big salute. I really do appreciate y'all. Y'all really are the best. I mean, keeping y'all's attentions for 30 minutes is not easy, but the fact that y'all are still here, it really does mean the world. Last but not least, quite possibly one of the most essential and staple fragrances that you can wear for summer. It's a fragrance that I enjoy so much, I opted for the 6.7 ounce bottle, you guys. So it's a fragrance that I'm going to have and be wearing in my life for a very, very long time. Last but not least, at the number 10 spot today from the house of Dolce & Gabbana, we have the essential fragrance that should be in everyone's collection. This one is Light Blue Eau Intense. Classy bottle design. I really do enjoy the bottle. And this one here, you know, guys, it's not a new type of scent profile, but it's timeless. It's been out for quite a long time, yet it doesn't smell dated. I still do not believe it smells dated to this point. Now, the notes on Light Blue Eau Intense, they are fairly simple. I'll go ahead and read them out. Notable notes are going to be grapefruit, orange, seawater, juniper, amberwoods, as well as musk. You're going to be getting very citrusy grapefruit notes playing off of salty, ozonic seawater notes. You're going to have an underlining musk, slight tinges of greenness from that juniper, but most people aren't going to pick up on that. And then a amber woody base, which is going to be the case for a majority of designer fragrances. The niche snobs are going to hate that word of amber woods because it's essentially just a woody ambroxan, but it does give the fragrance some staying power. It does give the fragrance the ability to push. This is a fragrance that does check all the boxes. Excellent performance, priced appropriately, high versatility. It's a type of fragrance you can overspray in the summer. I would not wear this one dressed up. This is a casual fragrance, the type of fragrance that you absolutely bring with you on vacation, the fragrance that I would personally wear to the gym. I would wear it pretty much I would wear this one in the same exact scenarios that I would wear Coco Loco. It's a feel-good fragrance, a lighthearted fragrance, a fragrance that you spray on and go, don't have to think about it. I mean, definitely one that you should have in your collection if you don't already. Again, at the number 10 spot today from the house of Dolce & Gabbana. Last but certainly not least, we have Light Blue Eau Intense. So yeah, you guys, that pretty much wraps up the video. I really do appreciate you checking out the full and entire video. As always, leave a comment below. Let me know which one of these 10 fragrances you want me to send you a 5 milliliter decant from. Despite what other people do, over here, my giveaways are legit. And the winners can attest to that. So yeah, definitely let me know which fragrance out of all of these you want to check out. I'll send you a 5 milliliter decant just to show my appreciation for watching the full video. We have more videos coming out, including live streams, so definitely stay tuned and please consider subscribing. I'm trying to make a push to 2K by the end of the year, but nonetheless, I appreciate you all. Y'all have a great summer. Pick some of these up, you guys, all right? Good luck on this giveaway. Talk to y'all soon. All right, later.